The Friday Rugby Preview with Stuart Cameron.
Hello and welcome to the final Friday Rugby Preview of the season. Robin Purdie joining me as usual, and tomorrow it's the climax of the Kings of the Sevens, the Jedforest Sevens, taking place at Riverside Park. But as most of you will know by now, the title has gone to Kelso for the first time in 26 years, so a big congratulations to them, and they've won because of what happened at Selkirk's tournament last Saturday. I guess we were all hoping that results at Philip Hawke would give us a situation where we would go down to the wire tomorrow with Melrose, Gala and Kelso all in with a chance of winning, but in the end Melrose went out in round 1 to Edinburgh Accies. Kelso beat Gala in the semi-finals, and that meant whatever happened in the final between Kelso and Selkirk, Kelso's total couldn't be caught, and so they are the new Kings of the Sevens. So Selkirk won their own final for the first time in 6 years, a 33-24 victory despite a late fight back from Kelso. And after the match, Hugh Brown spoke to Kelso skipper Frankie Robson and Selkirk's Aaron McComb.
It means a hell of a lot to me and the boys out there today. Stuck in, performed really well in all games, and we got the win in the end, so really chuffed. Kelso have been performing really well in the Kings this year, but we were due them one. We were getting pipped 2 points here, 2 points there, and it's good to get our own sevens and get one over them. Didn't concede any points against Berwick, and we went out and beat a really good Jed team. The accuracy and the want to win this tournament is there today. I said in the change room before that final, it's who wants it more. Doesn't matter who your opposite number is. If you want it more, you'll get it, and that's what happened out there today.
Yeah, delighted. It's been a lot of hard work. Obviously, back in the summer, it started up at Peebles and at Gala, so we started off well, and we kind of had a couple of tournaments in the middle here where we maybe treaded water a wee bit, but we've come out the other end with a couple of good performances again, so really happy. Real good squad effort.
So Robin, Selkirk won the battle, but Kelso have won the war.
They have indeed, Stuart, and congratulations to Kelso. They won the Kings with a tournament to spare, which is a good achievement. They have been comfortably the most consistent squad throughout the whole series of tournaments. They've been the best squad. The guys they've brought in when others have been injured, and let's not forget they've had plenty of injuries. They've been missing some key men for large parts. So yeah, all credit to Kelso. They've been they've been the standard bearers for the circuit this season. And let's not forget that what a wonderful season as a whole it's been for Kelso. It seems like an eternity since their 15 seasons finished, and we almost forget they finished 4th in the Premiership, having been promoted last year. What an amazing season they've had, and to win the Kings just tops it off, and I imagine there'll be a good old day out at Jed on Saturday for them.
I'm sure they will be. I think they'll take it back to Poynter Park as well with the trophy. Of course, we were surprised when Kelso went out in the first round at Earlston's tournament to Edinburgh University. Another shock when Edinburgh Accies beat Melrose in round 1 at Selkirk, outscoring them 4 tries to 1, and there were key players missing for Melrose that day, which must have had an impact.
Oh, I can't not have had an impact. 3 absolutely key men from the previous weeks weren't there for one reason or another, and they'd clawed their way back within touching distance. They had all the momentum, if you like, as far as the Kings was concerned. They were breathing down Kelso's neck, and they were coming down the rail with a wet sail type thing, but couple of boys missing, 3 boys missing, and all of a sudden they're pumped out in the first round and no points, and it kind of handed it on a plate to Kelso, to be honest. So yeah, they'll be disappointed about that. And yeah, Selkirk got the job done as well. Fair play to them winning the actual tournament.
First time in 6 years, as we heard. But we move on to Jed, traditionally the last leg of the K7s, and here's the draw, which always is a knockout event with seeds. So the top 4 in the K7s table are kept apart till the semi-final stage. It's a kind of draw that I like, I have to say. And Borders teams against teams out with the Borders, although Langham and Berwick are put in with the other teams just for balance. So we've got Hawick against the Scottish District Union, second time out for them. Kelso against Edinburgh Accies, Jedforest against Watsonians, Selkirk v Berwick, Langham against Highland, Gala versus Edinburgh University, Peebles against the Pigberians, and Melrose against Heriot. So as I say, a draw that not many people can complain about there.
Oh no, that's a brilliant draw, and it whets the appetite. As soon as I seen it, I thought that lights a fire. It's hard to pick a winner. It's hard to pick 2 finalists from that. So that's what a draw should be to me.
Because even in round 1, you've got Kelso playing Edinburgh Accies. That's not a walkover by any means. Heriot's playing Melrose again.
Oh, definitely. Heriot's on their day can beat anybody. We've seen that. Edinburgh Accies have got a few more front liners now. They'll be a test for Kelso, absolutely. Jed v Watsonians, that could go either way. Jed, not the squad they were a couple of years ago when they ran away with the Kings. Watsonians looked better last week. Ross Stanley, Jed will need to keep an eye on him. He scored
4 tries, wasn't it?
4 tries in one game, at
Yeah.
least one in the second game in which they got beat. So he had 5 or 6 tries last weekend in a couple of games. So he'll be about as quick as anybody, I would say, on the circuit as well. So yeah, some good ties in there as well. Edinburgh Uni will be an unknown quantity again for Gala. So yeah, there's plenty there to whet the appetite.
Well, we're going to be hearing from Murray Hastie a little bit later on in the programme, the coach, along with Kevin Utterson, of the successful Sevens side. But as you were saying earlier on, I mean, it wasn't just in the Sevens, it's the 15s as well, where they really have excelled. And we wouldn't have thought that, really, would we, in the very early days? I mean, I know they started off with a 31-all draw with Musselburgh, but when they got hammered at Mansfield Park, we were beginning to worry a little bit.
Oh, that's it. I never thought there would be relegation material, even in the early piece, but I never seen them coming fourth, to be honest. But yeah, they worked, as we said before, they worked it out. They got those heavy reversals, but they were away from home. That was the key thing, and they turned Poynter into a bit of a fortress. And it's just been a remarkable season. And they've arguably been the team of the season, to be honest.
Well, more from Kelso and Murray Hastie later in the show. But obviously after tomorrow there's the final Sevens event happening at Walkerburn, which will be the 100th playing of the Walkerburn Sevens. And great to know that after initially being cancelled, it's back on the calendar, and a lot of enthusiasm surrounding this one. No doubt a big crowd as well. Hopefully they'll get sunshine as well. It's going to round off the season quite nicely.
Oh, it's a great story, Stuart. And as you say, if the sun's shining, and hopefully it will be, then it's sure to be a great day down there. And who knows, it might just be the springboard for something. You never know if there's enough of a groundswell of opinion. It's that thing whereby if something's about to be taken away from you, you think, all right, we're gonna lose that, and you just never know. This might kickstart something.
It is tricky though, isn't it? Because I mean, we've seen teams in the past who've turned out second teams, third teams, sometimes fourth teams. Those are days are gone, and whereas you have like Selkirk and Gala and Peebles, who are very close to Walkerburn, probably the closest 3 clubs. They've got themselves to sort out first of all with second teams and stuff. So it's not easy to kind of share players either. No,
geographically it's not easy for Walkerburn, as you say, what they're in the mix with there. But and Peebles just up the road are kind of so upwardly mobile as well, and players will naturally gravitate towards a club that's that's going up the way. But yeah, it's certainly been a good news story, and it's certainly generated a bit of interest, and it's sure to be a great day down there on next Saturday, that's for sure. And yeah, there's some interesting teams in the draw.
Well, we won't be here next week, as this is the last Friday rugby preview, so we'll give you the draw for the pools competition at Walkerburn now. Pool A, Walkerburn, the Caledonian Thebans, Biggar. Pool B, it's Hoytlandine, Earlston and Haddington, who are the holders, having beaten Biggar last season. Pool C is Selkirk, Gala YM and Peebles, and Pool D, Heriot's, Pennycook and Lismore. Now, I wouldn't imagine it's going to be Selkirk or Heriot's A teams going out there, but certainly there's a nice cross-section of East League sides, and of course Walkerburn in there as well, and great that they've managed to get a full complement there.
That's it, and if it stays like that, then that'll be tremendous. We've seen pull outs at Sevens tournaments, the day before, a couple of days before. If they can get the full quota, 12 teams or 12 teams out on the day, get a president's, whatever, then that'll be great. And yeah, Selkirk in there, as you say, I don't imagine they'll send the the Cottrells and the Callum Andersons and whatnot, but Heriot's, again, even if Heriot's don't send all their front liners, they're sure to be decent. So it's a real mix, and you look at it and it's hard to pick a winner from all that lot. I don't know a great deal about some of the teams, but yeah, if you back me into a corner, I'd probably put my fiver on Heriot's.
As it's the last programme, how about your key moment from a Boarders perspective of the year?
Kelso's comeback versus Currie. At Poynter.
They were 19-0 down.
They were gone at half time. They needed to win to maintain their playoff push. So off the top of my head, without having sat and thought about it, I would probably say that was a key moment in the season. It was a season defining moment for Kelso, which is arguably the story of the season anyway.
And the disappointment, probably, I would say, Jedforest going down.
I'd have to put my hand on my heart reluctantly and say Jed, they weren't equipped with the tools for that division through no real fault. If you can't drum, if you're a town of 4,000 people and you can't drum up the numbers, then you can't drum up the numbers. And they went down with a wee bit of a whimper. But in saying that, all credit to some of the guys that stuck their hand up every week, and some of the guys that came out of retirement having not played rugby for years to pull on the jersey and try and help out. So there was some good in that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about next season then? Because it is going to be different. We've got a 12-team premiership. I don't think we're going to see anything like what we've had in the last couple of seasons, because the standard is clearly going to go up. There's clubs outside the area in particular who are well equipped to do really, really well next season. Of course, the Super 6 sides are being infiltrated into the premiership and to National 1 as well. 3 going down from the premiership as well. It's not going to be easy.
No, it's not going to be easy for all of the premiership clubs, if you like, even Hawick, Currie, Mar, etc. Although Mar might benefit from Ayr coming back in. Ayr can't have 50 players that are all happy, and Currie might benefit as well for some of the Edinburgh Super Series players that might gravitate towards them. But yeah, there are going to be teams that are going to need to recruit, or they're going to struggle. It stands to reason, unfortunately, that if Selkirk came 9th, as they did in the Premiership, unless they recruit fairly heavily, they're going to be there or thereabouts again that season, and that's sad, from a regional point of view. But there are others as well. I think it's going to take 2 or 3 seasons for it to find its feet, if rumours are to be believed, and the number of players that Ayr have re-signed for next season, 18 or 19 or something like that. Then just engrave the thing now, to be honest, because they're steamrolling teams in the sprint series. So yeah, they're going to dish out a few hidings next season of that. There is no doubt. And as I said before, there could be guys playing Premiership now, at the moment, or played Premiership for a number of years, that might be taking one look at it and go, "Nah, I don't fancy that. That's not why I'm knocking my pan in on a Tuesday and Thursday. McKnight and Blair McPherson and whatnot smashing me to bits every Saturday." So there might be some changes in personnel as well.
It'll be interesting, Henry, and we'll be back to obviously keep you up to date when the season returns, which is 3 weeks' time or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Yes, I understand that. About June, some of the players are going to be coming back at some clubs, so it's going to be interesting. But finally today, a chat that I had with Murray Hastie during the week down at Poynter Park. He, along with Kevin Utterson, have been coaching Kelso's Sevens team this season to great success, and we'll play that for you now. Well, Murray, what a season it's been for the club.
Yeah, look, Stuart, chuffed to bits where we're standing today in terms of obviously the 15-a-side season and getting to 4th place, and came up against a strong Hawick side in that playoff, but really happy with that, and then obviously standing here off the back of last weekend where we've managed to secure Kings of the Sevens. We couldn't be happier. We're chuffed to bits how things have went.
1998 you last won the Kings of the Sevens title. That's 26 years ago. Where does this success come from?
Yeah, I think we were just saying before, but I think Kevin Utterson was part of that team back then, and I think it's been built up over a number of years. I think obviously since Bruce, Kev and Niels came back in with support for Grant Shields as well, I think the last few seasons have been great for us. I would argue it's probably even before then as well, probably just pre-COVID, where we managed to try and get some local lads playing again, and try and get ourselves back with some sort of identity of Kelso players wearing the black and white jersey. And before COVID we did take some pretty harsh beatings, but a lot of the lads that are playing today have been through that journey, and we've added to the squad with some key guys, Keith Melbourne and other guys like that. But it's very much built on homegrown talent that want to play for the jersey and represent the club, and I think that's shown through in terms of the rugby we've played, but also the support we're getting down here on a weekend. It's been outstanding. It's been a massive club effort.
Now, of course, last season, National 1, it was a real tough battle with you and Ayr and Gala, of course, as well, and other teams who were knocking on the door, Highland. You got the championship, which was a fantastic thing for the club. The next step, of course, was to come in this season and consolidate your position. Within a few weeks, you were in a great position. I think you started with a draw up at Musselburgh, and you ended up with a couple of draws, I think, in the season. Early on, there was a hell of a beating at Mansfield Park, 60 odd points. So to come from the back of that and turn the season round, take Hawick to within about 8 points as well. You beat Currie here and you beat Mar here as well, who'd given you good beatings on their home patch. So where did this confidence come from?
I think it was the Musselburgh game down here, where we just really turned up and really turned on. I actually think Musselburgh beat somebody quite big the weekend before, and I think we managed to put 36 points, if I'm correct in thinking that it was about 36 points on them in the half time. Got up to half time, and we just seemed to click, and defensively we were really good and attack really good, and that just allowed us to kick on a little bit, and it just gained confidence. And we always said that down here at Pondar was our home ground, and we wanted to make sure we put performances in. In Brackies we beat down here, we beat Jed down here round about that time, but I think where it really seemed to kick on was Currie and Mar, where we just felt confident going out those games. And I mean, we went down 19-0, I think, Currie in the first 15 minutes, and we're all going, oh crikey, here we go. But we got the rub of the green. There's a few decisions went our way. They got a couple of yellows, and we just managed to stick in there and grab the game by the scruff of the neck. And I think there's just a real sense of belief, and that comes through from coaches to players and senior players driving standards, and also there's a lot of young guys who have no fear. They're not really caring about where Kelso's been in the past, and just trying to really challenge ourselves to be the best we can be. And it's a real honour to be, and a lot of pride shown with a guy like me who's been around the club for a long time, putting ourselves in this position. Normally we're scrapping around the bottom of National 1, and I've had a number of seasons doing that. So to be where we are, it's no individual you can pick up, but there's a lot of little things that have went our way, and the big thing we want to try and do is really build on that as well going into the next season.
It's been a long time coming, obviously. It's been a very barren period, and now all of a sudden you've got the success. The big question is, how do you hang on to that success now?
I think my job as development officer as well is try to create that pathway from mini rugby all the way through to school into our Harlequins, who have had really strong seasons the last 2 or 3 seasons there as well, and we're seeming to have more boys and girls wanting to play the sport in the town, and that comes from probably a little bit of success with our first 15, but our Sharks as well. It is continually just trying to drive those standards and create an enjoyable environment for people to come and play, and not play but volunteer, be on the committee. We are not perfect by any sense of the imagination. We'll have meetings and discuss things that we can always get better at, and we're starting to plan for next season already in terms of SNC and try to develop players from under 18s into senior rugby. I feel now more than ever that the jump from under 18s to senior rugby is much bigger than it used to be. So we've got to prepare them with a skill set and a mentality that suits senior rugby, but also that they're physically up to the battle as well. And look, it's about getting the right people in the right places. We've been, I think the last 4 years we've had, a really strong committee with, a really good group who have been driving standards at that end with lunches and getting people down. A border league game or whatever it may be down here, we could have up to 1,000, maybe even a little bit more people down here, and that's an enjoyable place for an 18-year-old lad to go. I want to go after that, and I think that's the standards we've got to keep driving. And I think with my job as well, I always say that something might happen this year which has worked, next season it might not work, so we've got to be adaptable to the times, and I think we've got people at the club who want to do that, and as I say, hopefully we can really kick on, and not just the next 5 but 10 and the more years to come.
It was a really nice thing for you as well to actually be part of that as a player, along with Andy Tate, who is about 55 years old now. It seems he's been there a long time, as you have as well. And Andy, I think, is contemplating doing another season. You, on the other hand, that might be it. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm finishing. I think I've made that decision. I was close to it the back of last year, and I really wanted a shot at the Premiership, and I actually feel like I've been playing some half decent rugby with my experience. I'm still a bit of a speed bump at 10, but I've still been doing a part of a job in there. I think I'm probably ready to coach. I think most development officers will tell you that it's, and my wife will tell you as well, it's a long old job when you're playing and coaching every day, and I think I've started to get that balance better, but I think the playing side of things, my brain was continually changing to coaching a lot of the time, and almost being like that coach on the pitch alongside other guys, and I think I'm ready for the next step in my rugby, and I'm still trying to figure that out in terms of what route I want to go down. But yeah, I think the 7 stuff that I've been helping out with Kev, and Kev's been a good help over the past 8 weeks, and we've had Phil Hume down as well, driving standards, and past players of the club, where we wanted to try and really go after this 7 circuit. But again, when I'm thinking back to some other guys, there's Frankie Robson, who's put a hell of a lot of work. He's, a lot of guys have went away for the club but have came back. Grant Shields as well, who's an older guy who He's went away, came back, and has had another great season down here. But Andy is still going strong, and I think we've all managed to twist his arm to have another year at that scrum half. But he's a little bit less flexible than he used to be, but he's still doing a job.
Oh, we're all like that. But personally, I mean, for you if you are finish at the end of a season like that is deeply satisfying.
Massively. I said to you before, in terms of, when I stepped up at 18, 19 years old, and I think Kev was actually captain at the time, from where we were in terms of, fighting at National 1 level, at the bottom, sometimes doing a little bit more, but to see the standards that Bruce and Kev and others have set for us, I've really enjoyed the challenge. I've not enjoyed the physicality at Premiership level. It's definitely a step up, but there's ways and means of getting about that. But listen, I couldn't be happier with the seasons, the last 2 seasons that we've had, and I've not won much down at this club, but in the last 2 seasons we've managed to pick up a lot. And I think it was the Sevens last year where I couldn't make a couple of tournaments, and they managed to pick up a couple of wins. And then the same at the start of this season, I wasn't able to make a couple, and they managed to pick up a couple of wins, and that almost was like, I'm maybe no needed in here. There's some young lads coming through, but kind of support in other ways. And I think that's where I approached Neil and Bruce and said, look, I'm really keen to help out the Sevens. I think I can add a bit of value, and hopefully I've done that. So.
And of course, as Youth Development Officer, you'll be delighted to see all these youngsters coming through, as you were mentioning.
Yeah, and it's many years to come. I think when I came in the job, we had Archie, Angus, and a few other guys that were at our under-16s. So to see them now play is fantastic, and they're raw. They are very raw, but again, particularly about Archie, he's not got any fear. Murray Woodcock, these guys as well, there's no fear with them. They don't care about the past. They're just caring about the now. And that's really refreshing for older players, just to go, right, they've not got any fear or any hiccups about what's happened before. They're all about the now and hopefully into the future. And the pathway we're trying to create is, again, we had a meeting last night with under-18s. We're speaking to the youth, to the Quins coaches about those guys stepping up. And it's all about trying to create that environment where they are happy and comfortable to step up. So we'll be inviting them along to pre-season when it gets going, and the squad itself is built up of a lot of young lads, so I think they do need a little bit of support, but the club are there and willing, and we want them to be asking questions and challenging us as coaches to overall make them better rugby players. But for me, I think the future is looking pretty good in terms of the numbers, but also the standard of boys that are coming through.
We'll talk about next season in a minute, but going back to the Kings of the Sevens, you are the Kings of the Sevens now, which is fantastic, and you've done it with a tournament to spare, and that doesn't mean that you're going to take the foot off the gas for Jedforest.
No, that was the first thing we said in the huddle at Selkirk. We were pretty frustrated that we didn't get the result. I would say we had a blooming tough test to get us there. And we knew that if Melrose got put out in the first round and we got to the final, that was going to be it for us. So it was extremely pleasing to get past a strong Heriot side against a strong Accies side, and then Gala, we've had some tasty battles and close encounters with them. So for us to get there and get the result was outstanding. It was probably, my coach's hat, it was a bit more relief more than anything, because I thought we almost snookered it when we went to Earlston and getting put out from Edinburgh Uni on the first round. But I can't fault the boys. Like, we asked for effort, we asked for accuracy, and they always bring a bit of dog, which is what our DNA is pretty much around that. So look, for us to do it with a week to spare, I think it just takes a little bit of the pressure valve down a little bit. But we've said, we were down Tuesday, we'll be down tomorrow night as well, putting in some ties, and we really think we can go after this tournament, and nothing better than lifting that trophy at Jed alongside the Kings of the Sevens on Saturday. We've worked extremely hard, and I was actually looking last night, it took 20 boys to get this job done from the start of the season. I was speaking to Kev earlier, we've had to deal with a lot of injuries, Cammy Brown getting injured against Melrose before our 7th circuit, Hamish Tweedy heading away, Frankie Robson missed our home tournament here due to illness, Andy Tate with his hamstring, Keith Melbourne getting injured. So it's took depth, and I think that's the most pleasing thing, is years gone by we never had that depth, and for it to take 20 guys who are quite happily to sit in the squad and are strong enough to sit in that squad, it just shows where we are as a club. I think that there's 20 guys who are willing to put on that jersey at Sevens time as well, and our numbers have been great, and I think it's testament to that hopefully we can go and get the job done on Saturday.
So regardless of what happens at the Jedforest Sevens, the trophy will be there to be lifted. That's going to make you all very, very emotional.
I think so. I think it's, I think until Frank gets up there and lifts that trophy, and we plan on coming back here and try to celebrate with the fans a little bit as well, and the guys who've supported us. It's been a long old journey. I think it's been a massive journey from not just the last 4 or 5 years, but for the get-go, and to have some success down here. We've been urging it on and wanting it, and it's took a lot of blooming hard work, don't get me wrong, but yeah, we'll be emotional, and we'll be chuffed to bits with it as well, and I'm sure we'll have a few beers too.
Well, just finally, next season then, a lot of changes. It's a 12 teams league. We've got the Super 6 teams kind of being infiltrated in at the top end of the leagues, and it's going to be very, very different. We're still waiting on news of whether there's going to be playoffs or not, but one thing is for certain, 3 teams will be going down. The standard's going to go up, there's no doubt about that. How does Kelso tackle something like this?
I think for us it's looking in-house, and it's trying to get things at standards, and I think we spoke about looking after the 1%ers, so it's talking about our S&C programme with these younger kids coming through. It might be having to bring in 2 or 3 guys, like Harry played last weekend and was brilliant, and it's great to have him down. I think he's living locally now, which is a big support to us, and it's again just trying to make sure that those little percenters, if we can get after them, that'll put us in good stead. We're not saying it's going to be easy. Hopefully off the back of this season we get a bit of confidence. We're not going to go in arrogant, that's not what we're about, but as I say, hopefully we can build a bit of confidence off the back of last year, but it will be challenging. It's going to be a long old season. We're going to need bodies, I think, as well. I think looking back to last year, I think we probably used the least amount of players in that squad alongside Hoyk. A lot of clubs used potentially up to 40-50 players, where we were below that, I think in the 30s. So we've just got to try and build that resilience round about the group. Good physios, all that stuff that we need to get right off field for us to give the best opportunity to put our best foot forward. Going into games next season. As I say, it's going to be challenging, but I think we're massively up for the challenge, and I know the club are up for it. We've just got to hopefully enjoy a bit of rest time, especially these 7 lads are going to have a break, and we'll get the big boys in a little bit earlier, but then really go after it when pre-season comes, and just look forward to the challenge.
And I think Kevin Utterson's stepping down, is that right? So what's the situation for next season as far as coaching is concerned?
Yeah, so we're just waiting to find out a little bit more about that. I know that Higgs and Bruce have been working hard to fill that gap. Kev's done a fantastic job over the last 4 years. Again, a local boy who's been through it, and I think the biggest thing that we got from him was just that energy and sense of belief that he's put into the squad. And I go in young lads and guys like myself who grew up. My first season was Kev as captain, and for him to be around was brilliant. He probably deserves a bit of a rest. He's got 2 young kids, and they'll be doing other bits and bobs as well, so they'll keep him busy, no doubt. But we're hoping to find out the next few weeks where we're going. But Bruce is still around, Grant Shields is still around, Neil's still around, and we're trying to sort out in terms of our Sharks as well, in terms of getting that right. In our under-18s, I believe there's a couple of coaches stepping away, so there's a lot of work. It becomes off-season, but there's still a lot of blooming work to get done. So I think that background stuff, once we get that sorted, we'll be getting out and making sure that we're again trying to push ourselves into next season.
And next season starts very quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, we were just discussing that in terms of the season length, and I think pre-season we're looking start of July, getting pre-season dates and everything sorted. I think a lot of people probably say, is there an off-season? And there's probably not, in terms of, it's even with my job looking to plan and get coaches in positions, reviewing things. It's going to come round pretty quick, but I think the other bit is we want people to switch off and enjoy their time away. Especially these young guys, they're keen as mustard to get down and gym and do extra stuff, but I think the rest is just as important, so hopefully they come back refreshed and ready to have a good crack at it.
Well, it's been a fantastic season for Kelso, 7s and 15s. We wish you all the best in the close season, and you'll be back bright and ready for next year.
Thanks very much, Stuart. Cheers.
Murray Hastie, and congratulations once again to Kelso on them becoming this year's Kings of the Sevens. Well, tomorrow we'll be on air on Rugby Radio from 2 o'clock, covering the whole of Jedforest Sevens tournament from Riverside Park right through to the end, and we're certainly looking forward to it. Robin Purdie, Ian Hurd, Matty Douglas and Sam Matthews and Hugh Brown will be part of the team. So do join us if you can at rugbyradio.co.uk. But for now, from Robin and me, bye for now.